Finally, Sweden is going to deport about 80,000 so-called migrants from their country coming up very soon. This is after many reports of violence, extreme crime, rape, everything in the world and under the sun from these so-called migrants. People that can't speak Swedish, people that have no idea how to make any money, no skills, kind of like bumps on the log and or general nuisances to the people that are there. There's been cases of people spreading leaflets talking about enough, people getting into fights with the police, that's maybe Swedes and foreigners. Just a lot of bad stuff going on, and it can all be traced to Europe's inability to call a spade a spade. You got to be able to understand these migrants aren't there really for peace. They're there to do whatever they want to do. They're there to be able to take advantage of the welfare state that exists in these countries that they're going to. They want to go to these zones that are set up for them, the countries that want to accept them, that have the most money and most resources. If it was just about a migrant crisis, they would go to Turkey and they would stay there. They would go to Jordan and they would stay there. They would go somewhere further east. They would go to Pakistan, Afghanistan and stay there. Maybe even as far as India, but they want to come into extreme northern parts of Europe like Norway, Sweden. They want to go to Denmark, Germany, Austria, and they don't even want to stay in Greece. They should stay in Greece. Greece is more like the Middle East than anywhere else in Europe, but Greece does not have the money or the resources that they want. They want to be able to live high on the hog. That's the whole point. They come to Greece through Turkey. They stay there for a while until they can get into Austria, then on into Germany. And then they might even go up as far as Denmark, Sweden, maybe even Norway. It's a big problem. You know, you had the girls that were assaulted on New Year's Eve in Germany. It's attacks all over Europe. It's an invasion, even as far as France, maybe even the UK. You know, it's a big problem in Calais in France. It's a big issue that European politicians, that is, they aren't really facing in the way that many of their citizens want them to. But I think that tide is turning with things like this coming from Sweden. You know, you got Bernie Sanders talking about how tolerant and how peace-loving Sweden is and how they are just the best country in the world and they accept everyone and everything. But at a certain point, even the nicest of people have to draw a line in the sand and say, no more. This is enough. How many women were going to get raped before you do something? How many people are going to get murdered before you do something? How much of your resources will be drained? It's one thing to have your resources go towards people that will actually contribute. But when you have resources that are going into a hole, into a black hole, and not coming back out, what are you doing? You're not helping your cause for the advancement of your state or of Europe as a whole. And a lot of this can be attributed to the European Union being one whole thing. And a lot of politics, a lot of international politics, a lot of stuff from the UN, since the UN is right there. Just a lot of different things that go into the immigrants being there to begin with. You can also kind of point a finger at interventionism from foreign countries, not just the U.S., but also Russia, also China, making the situation dangerous for people and giving them an excuse to come into Europe and invade. It's not even about being racist. People are saying, oh, if you're anti-immigrant, you're racist. Sweden is racist for deporting 80,000 people. It's like, no, race is unimportant. It's just the behavior of the people that is interfering with the people who are already there ability to live and function and work properly. You may have people that came from a different country, a Muslim country, that were already there in Sweden, that had acclimated to the culture, learned the language, and become one, that had integrated. And people get this whole thing about integration wrong. It's not about having to completely denounce who you are. It's about becoming integrated into society. It's not like the Borg where you must assimilate and become the exact same. It's about being integrated. Your culture cannot be a clash, so much so that you can't function properly without any kind of conflict in the place. And if that's going on, you need to go back to wherever you came from, where your behavior is acceptable, or you got to change what you're doing. But too many of these migrants come straight from savage places where that kind of behavior is okay. And that's part of the reason why their places are the way they are, because there is no type of regulational behavior. There is no type of respect for other people. So how are you going to be able to function properly when that's your mindset? You're coming into Sweden and you're terrorizing it. You're creating trash. You're creating havoc. You are a succubus upon society and a danger to anyone that's there. Same thing going on in Germany. I saw the video with the young lady. a 16-year-old girl, very sweet girl, talking about how she was scared, how you need to have men to step up and protect the women and children. A lot of North African Arab Muslims running around, sexually harassing people, calling her a whore for wearing a t-shirt. It's like, that is not how you come into society. The people that greeted you with teddy bears and bread and bratwurst at the train station, that's not what you do. You don't spit on hospitality like that. That's why I say, like the situation in Iran, nobody should go over there and try to attack them for detaining the soldiers that came aground on Farsi Island in their water. They treated them well with hospitality. That should be rewarded with a thank you. I appreciate that. It shouldn't be slapped in the face. You only enact aggression upon someone when they enact aggression upon you. Don't start stuff. If you're America, that's called interventionism, and that's not what I'm into. You only protect yourself and protect your borders, protect your sovereignty. That's what Sweden is doing, and that's what many other countries in Europe need to be doing, starting with Miss Angela Merkel and Alman in Deutschland and Germany. She needs to be protecting her people. You can't have 800,000 of these miscreants, of these hooligans, of these thugs coming from these third world hellholes into your country and expect for your country to not suffer. People will suffer, and it's already been happening. You can't import more of them and expect less crime. And they're talking about how they want to have these integration courses, teach people the language, and they want to teach people how to behave and not touch women. And then you got the nerve to try to tell women in Germany how they should behave and keep at an arm's length. It's like, come on, man. You can't solve everything with bureaucracy and red tape and pamphlets and courses on integration. That is not how the human being works. The human being will do what they have been doing, what they're used to doing, what they want to do. If you got hordes of people, you got military-aged men, young men coming from these third world countries that look at European women as whores, as sluts, as objects of desire, as nothing compared to their women. They look at them as objects to be despised and reviled. How are you going to change that mentality with a pamphlet or a leaflet talking about how, don't touch women? Come on. It's ridiculous. You can't have these people here. If you want to be a humanitarian, you want to help, you send aid to the countries that they come from. You help them get reestablished over there in their part of the world. You don't bring them halfway across the continent or the landmass of Eurasia into your country. Let them stay where they are. Just like my man Ben Carson said, we're a nation of immigrants here in America, at least. Anyone is welcome, but you have to come here and accept our principles. If you don't, you got to go. And that is kind of the line of reasoning that Sweden, I think, is taking to finally get these people out of there. And I say more power to them. Get them out of there as soon as you can. Get them on a charter flight, get them on a bus, get them on the boat, do whatever you can. Because at the end of the day, you got to protect Swedish people first. I'm not going to say Sweden über alles or nothing like that. I'm not a Nazi, but I'm just saying you have your own country for a reason. And that goes for any country. Nobody should have any kind of mass invasion, mass aggression upon their people. And that goes from Western countries invading Arab countries for the oil or whatever, and Arab countries invading European countries to rape their women, to try and take over their parliament, to try and institute Sharia law, to try and have halal meat. All that's got to go. If you want that, have that in the place where you come from. So shout out to Europe for actually trying to get themselves together. Not everyone in Europe, because some countries haven't gotten the message, but shout out to Sweden for doing this. Hopefully they'll do more. Hopefully they'll be able to round up people that fallen through the cracks and have avoided being identified because they don't have the proper papers on them. Hopefully they'll be able to get them as well, because like I said, it ain't about racism. It ain't about being a bigot, Islamophobe, none of that. It's about the safety of your people, and that's it. If you're going to be humanitarian, help them over there, but don't bring that chaos into your country. That's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please rate, comment, share, subscribe. Peace.